Monmouth here. Dr. Oz back on the show here. Thanks so much for coming here. So a big night, right? You got a debate. I'm going to answer some questions tonight. Might get a little fiery. How you feeling about it?
I feel good about it, Sean. I know it's coming. When you're the front runner, folks try to get at you. That's what's supposed to happen. These primaries are about ensuring that you're ready for the general election, and this general election is critical. Holding on to our Republican seat in Pennsylvania, addressing the issues you were just talking about. But the number one question I get asked on the campaign trail is about inflation. And in Pennsylvania, that translates to energy policy, because even the folks serving you coffee in the diner know that the energy programs that Biden's foisting on us is hurting our nation's ability to defend ourselves. So I suspect Greta's going to be asking a lot of questions about energy, the hypocrisy of the Green New Deal, and what we would do about it.
Yeah, obviously Pennsylvania plays a factor in that, and in court, really back that up with fact. Monmouth University took a poll on what you're talking about, top issues for Pennsylvania voters for the primary. Inflation topping there 56%, right? Talking about your pocketbook. You're spending more money. Illegal immigration at 36%, gas prices 19%, Russia, Ukraine down at 10%. But this is coming at a time where, again, inflation is at its highest. And folks are feeling it, and they're feeling it there in Pennsylvania. What's your messaging to that?
Well, the reason that the inflation is so devastating is it's reducing, obviously, the importance of every paycheck you get. And there are a lot of people who aren't working. So those folks are doubly feeling it because they don't have anything coming in. But notice 3 out of the 4 things there are related. Immigration is a huge issue. I'll get to that in a second. But inflation, gas prices, and the Ukraine are all linked. And everybody in Pennsylvania knows that right beneath our feet here, we have enough natural gas to both provide great paying jobs for Pennsylvanians, but also provide energy independence, actually dominance for our country, drive down inflation, which is the #1 way we can do it. I was shocked Biden spoke about this yesterday and was arguing that really the only choice we have is to ratchet up interest rates. That's going to cause a recession. And I'm pretty clear about this. I mean, I'm not an economist, but I went to business school at Wharton primarily to study healthcare policy. But you don't have to have gone to business school to understand these realities. The major driver of inflation is energy. So reduce energy prices. And we control that. We don't have to put ourselves in recession. And we do a favor to our allies at the same time. And if you bundle those things together and realize that we could actually help Ukraine and not have to negotiate with Iran, the sworn enemy of Israel, who is an ally of ours, that's what America should do as a proud and brave country.
I want to ask you about this. President Biden, you mentioned this moments ago, but President Biden actually spoke roughly about 30 minutes ago, and we aired it live here on this program. And one of the things he said is that the MAGA agenda is the most radical group, the most radical base. And he points to his predecessor, calling that crowd the most extreme political organization. You are endorsed by President Trump. Is President Biden's words, are they accurate? And what is your hit back on that?
They're not accurate, and quite the opposite. What the MAGA crowd has demonstrated is patriotism, speaking up in the face of tremendous adversity. Then President Trump was attacked by all the insiders, including the Democrats, in ways that were reprehensible. They tried to stifle his agenda, and they weren't able to. And if we look back on what's happened since Biden took office, it's pretty clear that the only thing he's built back better is the Republican Party. And I can say the 5 of us, who are going to be on the stage this evening, plus there are 2 other great candidates who didn't make the cut. All 7 of us are pretty much aligned on the big issues that we need to address as Americans to help our country thrive. What Biden did was to take science and insights and medicine and twist it on its head. We now have COVID mandates that we're finally getting past that made no sense. We have the Green New Deal, which is a lie. Just as a scientist, it cannot happen the way it's described. We have dishonest narratives the White House is spewing about what happens when you take first and second graders and you expose them to sexualized material, especially without their parents' consent. All 3 of these are medical/scientific realities that the Biden administration won't honor, and yet they argue they're following the science. What they're doing is following the political science. Joe Biden is absolutely wrong in those comments about President Trump's legacy, but also the people who follow him. And J.D. Vance's great victory yesterday in Ohio was representative of that. When the president says, I've looked at all the candidates, I've carefully done my homework, and by the way, he did. I went through the process. And then he writes an announcement, which he did himself for me, literally wrote it himself. He has things in there that you would never mention normally as a speechwriter. Then you understand that the man is doing his homework. He cares deeply about this country. And as a patriot, you want to follow his lead.
Yeah, the debate tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Newsmax there. Dr. Oz will be a part of it. A couple minutes left with you, if I can. I've got to ask you about what's happening with Roe v. Wade. One, it's a controversial topic. Two, there's questions about the leak. I know you tweeted this out, and you said this after reading it. The court is right. Roe was wrongly decided. Abortion laws should be left up to the American people and their elected representatives. I look forward to supporting pro-life legislation that saves innocent lives in the U.S. Senate. Undoubtedly, this is going to be brought up at some point, if it's tonight or the interviews down the road, or maybe you've already answered it. But again, elaborate on that for me. You could talk about the leak or the potential outcome in the summer, or both.
Well, all the candidates on the Republican side are pro-life. The opposite is true on the Democratic primary side. The leak is reprehensible. It's an attack on a branch of government. So as a aspiring member of another branch of government, the legislative branch, I'd like to solidify our Republican base, ensure that legislative solutions are ones that Republicans would honor and would appreciate the sanctity of life and that it begins at conception. But in addition, the Supreme Court justices clearly matter. You're seeing it in that Judge Alito preliminary opinion with, a total of 5 justices out of the 9 supporting so far what he wrote. Now, this is important for all of us to appreciate because there was no, I don't think, legal foundation for Roe versus Wade. That's something that Judge Alito has articulated quite nicely. And all that should be addressed behind closed doors so that judges have the freedom, security, the safety to do what they're supposed to do, which is to adjudicate. But the fact that this was reprehensibly leaked quite clearly by someone who had an agenda that was against the pro-life movement is a declaration of war. And I think that Justice Roberts is correct in asking for an immediate investigation. Yeah. Folks all over the place are asking for the same. And I'll say it right with you. This is illegal. It's dangerous. It's an insurrection, you might say. And it needs to be prosecuted as aggressively as possible.